Okay, next time I give you part-time doctor do your brain surgeon because you clearly need a new brain. Stupid as heck.
Welcome, Fantine. It's so good to see you, dear.
Thank you. Thank you, Joshua.
Okay, that's not my accent. Surprise if anyone's listening to this and they think, wow, I didn't know Josh was British. Little do you know. No, that's, what's funny? You know what's crazy? Every accent I do, even if it's a good accent, somehow it always comes back to Borat.
Very nice.
So it could, if I do a nice Italian accent, but after a couple of sentences, somehow it come here, and then my wife, it always comes back to baseline is Borat. Anyways, welcome, Fontine Da Luz. Is that how you say your last name? Da Luz?
Yes, Deleuze.
Da Luz.
Deleuze.
My online internet friend, who we have not met in person yet, but you were a little bit of a viral sensation a few months back, and I saw your stuff just pop up on my feed, and I was like, this girl is ridiculous and hilarious. You're in luxury real estate, but you were posting these funny, kind of like on edge, let's just say. If I were to do them, they'd be called racist videos, but they were just hilarious. I thought you were funny. We actually started chatting, became friends. We ended up, I ended up trying to connect you to someone else for branding, and we were going to do like a business thing together. But then through that, you and I connected personally, and long story short, here we are, buddies across the continent. And is this your first podcast, or no, you've been on podcasts?
I've been on a couple podcasts before.
Yeah, you're experienced. So anyways, yeah, luxury real estate. You live in California, you do some cool stuff. You're young, you're ambitious, you're sharp. As much as you make your jokes, I know you're very, very knowledgeable and capable, and frankly, that's why I admire you, and I really respect you, because you have a sense of humor. You can play around, you can have fun, but you obviously get stuff done. I see the stuff you post all the time. I see the listings. I see the sales. I know how real estate works to an extent, so I can imagine you're doing pretty well, and only uphill from here. So anyways, if you want to take the first few minutes just to, I guess, educate everyone a little bit on who you actually are, not just the characters you play on your Instagram, but
Hello? Who the hell is this?
but yeah, who is Fantine? What's a little bit of your background?
Well, I grew up in San Francisco, and I was in sales and management before. So I was a VP of a staffing and programs company called AGC. I was I was a sales director, then I went VP, started managing my own sales team, and then from that, well, I already had my real estate license, but I went full-time into real estate after they decided not to pay for my assistant, which I desperately needed because I closed that whole month. I closed like over 300 programs in plus staffing service. Yeah, so they wanted me to do keep selling, but also manage all of my clients, which was very difficult at that scale. So I decided to quit. I was like, hey, if you guys can't pay for my assistant, you guys clearly don't value me or my time. And I already have my real estate license. I might as well just put the same skill set into real estate. So that's what I did, because long story short, I got my license when I was 18. First couple of months, didn't produce anything. I was broke as hell. I was like, I need a job. I know how to sell. So that's how I got that job. But it was such a blessing because I learned how to close people on the phone. And then that skill set got me, I mean, my first full-time month into real estate, I had like already 3 listings because I was just like, I kept booking listing appointments. But let's see. Right now, most of my clientele is investors. So I primarily work with a lot of off-market properties, large-scale multifamilies, commercial deals in land development, hotels. I have a couple of shopping plazas coming, Walgreens, 2 Walgreens are coming up. So trying to pivot more to the commercial side, since I like working with those types of individuals more than residential, just because we're all business minded.
Yeah.
It's easy. Yeah, it's easier to work with somebody that understands business and money as an investment standpoint than somebody looking at a house just to purchase to move into their family, because then you get hit with objections like, I don't like X, Y, and Z, which are things that you could fix, but that could be the reason why they don't want to buy the house, and now you have to go through this whole lengthy process of helping them figure out what they want. And that's also another thing. A lot of people don't know what they want.
Yeah.
So then you gotta help them figure out what they want and then help them agree and decide that's what they want. Yeah. Okay, what else about me? What do you want to know?
Um, a lot. But actually one point on that, because that's such a good, so I've done B2C sales, I've done B2B, I much prefer doing B2B, business to business, aka you're dealing with entrepreneurs, you're dealing with companies, because what you just said is so true. If you deal with a typical consumer, if you're on an online offer selling some kind of a gym membership, you're typically talking to emotional people. It's usually women in their 40s, and you're like convincing them. You have to help them dream. If you're talking to an entrepreneur, like I talked to a guy the other day, really awesome dude. He's in the trustee space, and we were, we're talking about a potential $90,000 deal, building out some courses for him and doing some different things. It just, the conversation had nothing to do with me having to convince him to have a dream, or like, I obviously will ask him what his goals and vision and dream is, and I'll use that in the conversation to build trust and build rapport and get to know the guy. Of course, it's important, but I don't have to convince him to dream. And so this is the cool thing working in B2B, is you often deal with higher caliber people who've already understood what they're looking for. Now you just need to show them why they can trust you, because a lot of people will now sell on features. Well, you should buy me, you should buy this house because of this, or you should, whereas now, this being in real estate for so long. Actually, you know what? I do want to know more about your background, but since I'm on this train of thought now, I want to know your thoughts on how much have you seen the trust that somebody has in you, particularly like you as the individual? How does that play into the sale versus the features of the home or the features of the neighborhood? Would you say it's 50-50? It's more the trust in you, it's more the features of the home? What do you think for typical kind of consumers?
I'd say typical consumers would probably be more interested in the features of the house, honestly, than the trust in a real estate agent. Because when you're dealing with residential consumers and buyers that are just looking to start a family, they don't know what they don't know. So it's your job to educate them. Yeah, so actually, a lot of realtors, in my opinion, they don't educate the buyer in the process. They're just sending you homes. So because the buyer, the consumer is just thinking, oh, I'm just going to purchase this home. They're not thinking about all of the other conditions that come with purchasing the home. So they're not worried if there was liens on the property, if the collateral is updated, the market. A lot of people, they don't care about the market appreciation, which I feel like should be number one, because you can have the best looking house in the worst neighborhood and then it doesn't appreciate, you just lost money. Whereas opposed to, like, I'll just give you an example. 4 years ago, when I first started, I was telling one of my end buyers, you should purchase in Burlingame, because based off what the market statistics are, Burlingame is going to appreciate a lot higher than San Francisco. But they didn't like the Burlingame style homes because before it wasn't as modern. There are more older, kind of rustic looking builds, because yeah, it's mostly old money here. But now it's more modern and updated, but it still has that old money feature. So you're gonna get accents of just like different types of woods and tiling that you don't get in San Francisco. But anyways, long story short, he purchased that home in San Francisco because he really liked like just one feature in the kitchen, which it was all a smart house. Like there was yeah, it was a complete smart house. It was amazing. But that house is only worth like 1.5 now, as if he purchased a home in Burlingame, which was before around the same price as San Francisco. The homes here are worth over 2 million now. So you chose to buy a smart house because you like the features in San Francisco, when you could have bought a house here for the same price and then just built out the smart home features. And then you would have had an extra couple 500,000, half a million in appreciation.
Right. And he could have spent like maximum, I don't know, 10 grand to put all those smart features in, something like that.
Yeah, but people aren't thinking bigger picture, which is why, as to your point, if you're working with people that have a vision, they're business owners, they understand how money works, and they can see the long term of things, then they're gonna actually appreciate the fact that you know what you're talking about, and the trust is more considered in for the purchase of a house. Because yeah, because you know what you're talking about. They don't like it, you talk to a residential end buyer, they're like, okay, I don't care. I want the house with the smart thermostats.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like, dude, I'll throw it in for you for free if you buy this other house.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
that's
and there's
not
a
my thing.
reason. Yeah, and there's a reason most businesses don't work out. Like when I say it, I prefer to work with entrepreneurs or business owners. I don't mean that all of them automatically, just because you own a business, now you're smart, now you're wise. No, a lot of people are obviously very dumb and very not educated or very emotional. And so, but depending what you're selling, depending who you're selling to, if you get quality leads, you work with established entrepreneurs. I would choose any day to work with an established entrepreneur over a typical B2C kind of consumer. Because there's a fine line in sales and any kind of, well, let's just call it blanket sales. There's a fine line between actual manipulation and leading someone into a conclusion that is beneficial for them. And I think when you learn those skills, you can use it for the light or the dark side. And you a lot of people, unfortunately, because oftentimes it leads to quicker cash, they'll lean into the dark side of that skill set because they can make more now quick. They're not thinking about the long-term repercussions of their reputation or of trustworthiness, or, if you screw someone over now on an HVAC deal and they know you screwed them over 2 years later, that could have been a contact that could have led to a big commercial deal at some point. But the person who's thinking short term in the moment and just wants to make their bag, they're willing to burn bridges to make cash. And I've worked for companies that taught that mentality, and I had to walk away because it was ridiculous. I was like, you want me to lie to a grandmother and take out her RSPs, which is for you guys equivalent of like your 401ks. So you want me to take money out of retirement to get a heat pump that's electric and saves money. But I would actually break down the math once I understood how these things work. And I'm like, they're not going to save any money for 15 years. She's 85 and she has no dependents. So no one's going to be benefiting from this home in the future. It's not going to increase the valuation of anything because she's going to be dead. And she's going to take money that she could have gone to Florida or something. So at the end of my job there, I ended up just convincing clients to not buy the most expensive things. And they'd be so confused. They're like, why are you convincing me not to buy this heat pump? I'm like, do you want to wait 15 years to save $200 a year? And they're like, no. I'm like, then who cares? Get the $5,000 option, not the $25,000 option or whatever. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that kind of superpower, I guess, that a lot of people develop in this world, right? Is the manipulation, the ability to manipulate or to lead, and the fine line kind of difference. And what have you seen in your own space and in real estate?
Definitely. I mean, people would rather burn bridges than to think long term for what's best for the clients. And I'll be honest, when I first started sales, I didn't understand the math behind it because I was selling, I was broke. I was 18. I was like, I need to go make sure I can pay my bills because I went full time into real estate not knowing that you're not able to close escrow within 1 month. So it was okay. I had 2 serving jobs. So I quit my 2 serving jobs, went full time, was broke as hell, was struggling, got a sales job. And then, of course, I learned how to sell anything because I was just watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and then you just practice it. Because if you're on the phone from like 8 a.m. to like 8 p.m., it's a numbers game, but also then it becomes a skills game. So then after that, all right, I could close, but then I realized people weren't saving money with certain programs. So then I just started telling them the truth because then people start trusting you. And then you get a bunch of referrals that way. And then that way, especially in real estate, like there's such a common, what is it? Like misconception of a realtor. Yes. Misconception of a realtor where we're kind of just sleazeballs and we're just salespeople, which a lot of us are. So this is why I just stopped trying to sell people. I just tell them the truth, and if you want to work with me, you can. If you don't, I don't really care because I have other people that would love to work with me. So, but then it also comes with the abundance mindset. So once you get to a point where you're just like, I'm not desperate, then people, I feel like, can energetically feel that by the way you present and you pitch them or you talk to them, and they're like, okay, she's not trying to sell me. And then you have these 100 other agents that are trying to force you to buy a house. And I'm like, you could buy this if you want. I don't care. You want my opinion? This is what I would do. You could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Having, and it's hard for people. I mean, I've been through this myself many times where you are lacking, you are broke, you are desperate, you are anxious, but everyone's telling you, well, everyone who's ahead of you is telling you, if you want to break out of that cycle, you have to change your mindset. And even though it's not going to change your circumstances immediately, you believing and being abundant in your mindset, you being positive, that will attract the right relationships, and it's not going to be overnight either. So you got to change your mindset, but then you also have to be patient and consistent. And damn, is that ever hard? That's why most people stay in the cycle, right? They just stay, never ending pity party, essentially.
Exactly, but they can't see long term. So they feel like just because their circumstances are presenting themselves right now as this, that they're not able to ever break it. Which a lot of people, they're not able to see that far. They're not able to see the big picture. But if you're broke as hell, but your mentality will never be broke, you'll never be broke. Because it doesn't matter how much money you have in your account. Your identity isn't broke. You will never do things just for the lack of money. And then because that, you just naturally attract more opportunities because you're not coming out of desperation. And the universe will test you. It'll be like, hey, you said you want to be full-time real estate? Okay, well, now you're broke. How badly do you want to do that? No, which is true, because even when I quit the sales job, I had a good lump sum amount in my bank account. Then had a lot of things happen. I was like, okay. I mean, I still made it through, but I had 3 escrows, and then they all delayed in closing. And I was like, fuck. I had like a couple $1,000s in my bank account, and I just felt like the pressure of like, all right, what if something goes wrong? What if I have to wait another week or two? And I was actually looking on Indeed for jobs. And I mean, I'm happy because I didn't apply. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna see it through. It delayed for another 2 weeks, but then when it closed, I got paid pretty well. And my client actually wired me a bonus because I was able to help him get it off market for a really good price. And
Nice.
I asked, closed mouths don't get fed. So I asked if I can get a bonus because I got him a great price, and he said yeah. So, but it was
I
just
love
crazy
it.
because that 1 week, I was like, I'm gonna get it. Oh, sorry. I shouldn't be cussing. I was like, no, I'm embodying the emotion. I was like, all right, I really need to go make something happen. And then like a week later, I get paid. And I got paid earlier than I expected because I was supposed to be delayed for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna test you.
It's crazy. Like, you're right when you put it, I call it the universe, call it God, you're being tested, right? I would say God tests us and wants to make sure our character is ready for those next steps. And that, I've heard it said poor stands for passing over opportunity repeatedly. And broke is a state of being, poor is a mindset. So you change your mindset and the state of being, mindset, I don't know what I just said. And then eventually the state of being will follow, but you need to change your words and change your actions first. And then, how funny is that? How many times in my life too, I've been freaking out. I'm just about to be at the end of my rope. And then literally at the last month or the last week when I'm about to have to go beg for money from, now something like I was speaking on the last podcast, I had a car accident that happened, which in the moment felt like a terrible thing. But then a couple months later, it led to me, I was $25,000 in debt. In 1 month, I made $10,000 from a new sales job after tax, and I made $18,000 from my car's insurance. So I was $25,000 in debt, and in 1 month I made $28,000. So I paid off all my debt, and I was profitable $3K. But it happened at the last moment. I was like running out. I have no money. I was going in debt more, and then all of a sudden, boom. And so when that happens, though, then you think, I've been anxious for like 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months, 2-3 years. And I let the anxiety stop me from doing there we go. all my emojis here. I let the anxiety stop me from things. So you realize things are going to work out if you're moving in the right direction. You just have to have faith, really. But I want to touch on something you said. 2 things. I think the desire, or not the desire, the need for a mentor, for someone who's further ahead than you, can teach you their mistakes, is beyond necessary. It's essential. And you were saying, I mean, I know how old you are. I don't know if you want to say it for the camera, but you were saying you started like 4 years ago. You started when you were 18, so people could do the math. But you're young and you're doing good, and you started young. So was baby Fantine at 6 years old saying, "Mama, Papa, I can't wait to get into real estate"? Or obviously, I know that's not the case. But I'd love to know a little bit about maybe your kind of growing up and what led you to become an entrepreneur young, and then also maybe how mentors played a role in that, whether it was an actual mentor, maybe it was someone in your family, a friend.
Well, okay. I went to the school of hard knocks. Does that make sense? So I got kicked out when I was 14, but even before that, parents were living at my grandparents' house. My mom came here from China, had me, I was a green card baby, and it was really tough. I mean, I grew up seeing them. Like, I was about to speak Chinese. Okay. I grew up seeing them. I grew up seeing them just always arguing about finances. Always, and they had such a poverty mindset back then because they were broke. My mom's a hustler actually. So she was like, no matter what, I'm gonna make it happen. And she was the top salesperson at my dad's company when I was probably, I don't know how old, but probably 1 years old. She was the top salesperson. They ended up moving out of my grandma's house to this apartment, but she didn't even speak any English. She sold to all the Chinese people.
Nice.
And yeah. So I just grew up seeing and thinking, well, if my parents had money, they wouldn't argue with each other. They wouldn't have all these fights. We would be able to go out. I would be able to have a regular childhood. But also all of my friends growing up, their parents were, I wouldn't say wealthy, but they were at least middle class to wealthy. They had the Lunchables at class, they had the snacks, you're a kid, you're trading snacks with other people. I didn't have that. I had a like a plastic container, and I just wanted, when you're a kid, you just want to fit in. I was like, okay, I need to make some money because that's the only way I'm gonna be able to afford things that I want. And then my grandparents will always tell me, because we lived with them, like, oh, we're not able to afford this, we're not able to afford that. And they would take me around Toys R Us and they would just show me things. And I just thought, oh my God, well, I get $20 so I could afford this. So I would just start asking people for money. And I would, I was pretty bad. So I would steal things from the store and I would start selling them at class for like $1 each. And then I was able to afford, it was my first toy. It was this kitchen playset that was like 20 something dollars. And I stole a bunch of snacks from the corner store, which I probably shouldn't have done because I had a poster of me outside saying, this kid stole, like, don't let her in.
People probably thought it was like a adopt this kid poster, just some little Asian girl. They probably thought it was an adoption thing.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I would go in
Oh
there
my gosh.
at the corner store, and it was a mom and pop store. Though this isn't a Target. They had one security camera, and I remember I would just get a bag, and I would just take everything in that bag, and I would just walk out. And then I was like,
So you weren't
okay.
even subtle.
Oh yeah, I was not. I was just like, oh, because myself, I always had a confident. I was always confident. I didn't, even if I was like 1 foot high, I didn't care. It's like I really wanted that kitchen playset. But then, okay, I got that, and they're like, "How'd you get this money?" I was like, "A teacher gave it to me." It's like, okay. Then my parents, since I was, yeah, they just opened the store. So imagine you're 20, you just had a kid that was, a happy mistake, and then you you start a business with no prior business knowledge. Like you're stressed the hell out. And then as
Yeah.
a result, I was the free child labor. So yeah, I didn't go to school. They made me work at this tea store, so that's what I was doing. And then I realized I had this tip jar. So I would just start asking people to give me tips. I had no idea what I was doing, but then it kind of enforced this idea of money
Mm,
and a hardship and how what the value of money is. Because if you speak with entitled kids that were just given everything in their privilege, if you give them $100, they're not going to fully appreciate it because they don't know how much it actually takes to make $100. Like if you worked a regular job, you would have to work like 4 hours without tip just to make $100. Which yeah, so then it kind of got me thinking, okay, I need to make a bunch of money. So from a young age, I already knew I need to make a bunch of money. I didn't know how, but I was seeing other people and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna be a business owner. Okay, business owner of what? I mean, you're not thinking that. So I was telling everybody, I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to have my own company. People are, and then I got kicked out. And a lot of my friends were not great influences. So then I was around the wrong crowd, still made a living, worked my ass off under the table for serving jobs and tips. And luckily, I'm a girl and I feel like I'm pretty attractive. So that definitely helped because my tips were really nice and I was able to survive on my own for
mm.
a good couple of years under the table because you're not supposed to work when you're 14.
Sure, of
Um,
course.
yeah, I had my own place, went to juvie. So I was in and out of juvie 7 times, got all of
Wow.
my credits in there, and then
Like your high school credits?
they got all of my credits in there. Yeah, so my last year, high school, I took online. I took 8 classes because I I I I hated the fact that everyone I knew, especially all my family members, they doubted that I would ever graduate high school. So I wanted to prove everyone wrong. I was like, hey, I'm gonna graduate high school and I'm gonna graduate high school early. I'm gonna graduate it a year earlier. So I just kept telling her, nobody believed me, of course. My dad even told me, he was like, if you graduate high school, I'll give you $1,000. But and he signed a piece of paper. It's like, okay. I don't know where that piece of paper went, but he gets
You didn't get
thousand
it
dollars.
notarized. That's your mistake.
I didn't get a note. But yeah, so I took 8 classes near COVID online. I finished high school a year earlier, and then I started going to all of these entrepreneur networking events that I would find on Facebook because I was always taught if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a business owner, you want to be a multimillionaire, you want to whoever you want to be, you got to surround yourself with those types of people. So that's exactly what I did. I was just in there, went to a bunch of networking events. I was 17, didn't know what the hell I was doing. Went to a real estate convention and yeah, I got an internship from one of the
Mm.
directors that actually hosted the networking event. And he just liked the fact that, I mean, he could tell I was young and I just went up to everybody and I just talk. And then I kind of lied to him because he was like, who invited you? And I was like, Steven invited me. He's like, I'm Steven. He's like, oh. You don't remember? I tried to, like, I tried
He
to,
just called you out immediately.
yeah, because it was an invite only. But I was like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna kick me out?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, that's where I went. I didn't care.
But one thing quick, actually, before you continue that, because I want to bring up this point of you mentioned how just money was always the issue. Money was always the topic. Money was always the reason for argument. And it's funny when you start working a job and you're talking about how hard it is to make $100 as a normal person. Well, I remember when I started to become an entrepreneur and I started to adopt that mindset of outcome thinking versus like immediate what's in front of me thinking, right? Well, if I do this, it's going to give me this, and then you start to think about, well, is the reward worth the work? And I started to think of jobs like, well, this phone is not $1,500. This is like 2.5 weeks of time. And man, that scared me. When I started to think about the things I purchase as units of time rather than units of dollars, I was like, shoot, man, how do I leverage my time in a way that I can produce dollars without having to spend my time directly, and how do I produce something ongoing? How do I create, pseudo passivity to my income? Because I don't believe there's not many things that are truly passive in this world, that still require a lot of activity around it, or you have to hire somebody to do the activity, so for you it can be passivity. But anyways, my point being, when you start to think that way, it really changes your perspective on money, and you realize
It
that
does.
a job is the least effective way to make it because you're trading your time directly.
Trading the time for money. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyways, I just want to mention that point because I love that you were saying that, and this is something that really helped like shift my mind and like blow my mind when I was becoming an entrepreneur, and I was like, wait, why wasn't I taught this in school? Why didn't somebody tell me this type of thinking, right? And so okay, and then so you were saying, what's the worst they're gonna do? Kick me out of this real estate thing? How great of a mindset is that as a 17-year-old girl to be like, hey, they're not gonna beat me up. The worst they're gonna do is just say no or make me leave. So I might as well just make my way into the right rooms.
Might as well just go. Because if you don't go, you'll never know. You'll just spend your
Clip it.
whole life. Yeah, you just spend your whole life wishing, wanting.
Was there many conferences or events you snuck into?
Yes, I was not invited to any of them. And they wanted you to fill out this form, and sometimes you would have to pay for a ticket. I was like, okay, what's gonna happen if I just show up?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Sometimes you really do. Now, I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything illegal or immoral or anything like that, but there's a lot of things in this world that are very gray. And sometimes, how many movie scenes have we ever watched where, the main character snuck into an event and then talked to the guy he was looking for, and that progresses the plot, and nobody sees that as a bad thing or as an immoral thing. So that's why I'm saying don't steal, don't do things that are detrimental
So,
to others. However, sometimes maybe just sliding into the right place at the right time to shake the right hand, if you're not hurting anybody and you're not, yeah. Anyways, it's a funny gray area, and I respect your cojones to do that.
I mean, you have to, but it's a numbers game. So I did a lot of events, and that particular event, I just got really lucky, and I just met the right person, and I think it was mostly the fact that I just snuck in, and he was like, you know what? Because he was telling me how he liked that I was able to talk to people and I wasn't scared. And, I didn't lie to him to his face. And I'm sorry. But then I told him the truth because at first I was telling everybody I was a realtor already because I didn't want people to think that I didn't have my license and I wanted to learn from other people. So I told them I was a new agent. And it was one of those events that was real estate only, realtor only events. So that's the only way I could get in. And I told him after, I was like, hey, I don't have my license, but he had an offer in his job for an internship from the front desk. So I took that and I got a car the next day. So I used pretty much all of my life saving, not life savings, but I was gonna get like a really cheap car. And he was like, well, if you get a cheap car, you're gonna get cheap clients because you have to drive them around. He's like very old school. So I was like, you
Hmm.
need to get a nice car because if I have you doing my showings, I don't want you to pull up like in a Toyota. It's like, okay. So I put 10,000 down, which was like all of my serving tips, everything I had into a Mercedes.
Hmm.
And I crashed that Mercedes.
Did you not have a
First,
license either? Were you lying about that too?
no, I had my driving license. I had actually just got my driver license
Oh my gosh.
because yeah, I was 17. I got that internship when I like just turned 18. So I took the test right on my birthday. And I got a car like pretty much within the same couple of days because I needed a way to drive from San Francisco to San Leandro. Yeah, so I mean, it all worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like many, 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 many lessons were learned in this time. It's I'd love to know one of the biggest things that you learned in juvie, and essentially having a pretty rough childhood overall. Like, you got a great demeanor now. You're very positive. You laugh a lot. But like, thinking about the things you said objectively, like, that's really some tough crap you went through, right? So how do you think some of that informed your, like, what, I'm trying to think of the right way to ask this. I guess, what's one of the best lessons you learned in that time that ultimately served you properly moving forward, getting into real estate, being an entrepreneur? You know, was it this ability to just not care what other people think? Is it the ability to just make it happen? Like, what's something you learned in that time that has actually been beneficial, not like illegal?
Oh, I think it would have to be just my mindset because I went through a lot. And because of that, no matter how rough it gets, I mean, there's some, like, well, not recently, but when I first started this journey, being full time, a young real estate agent, none of my friends were doing it, it's broke as hell. It was really rough. But then I always thought, well, I'll be all right. Like, I made it through a lot worse.
Mm,
So even sometimes when I catch myself complaining, sometimes you're like, oh, I wish this deal closed this day or postponed or whatever. So now I catch myself. I'm like, it's okay. Like, I've been through so much worse. Like, I don't really care. But also I learned how to just cancel out all the noise. Like, I don't
mm,
really care what people say, think, and it's just because, I mean, especially in juvie, all those girls are trying to fight you, but it's never any fights. Um, it's just a lot of, like, I wouldn't even say arguments. I would just say they're just trying to take out their anger, so they're just yelling. They just yell at each other because they're just, yeah, they just yell at each other. Well, I never entertained it because I was like, okay, you're yelling at me, you're saying you're gonna fight me, but we're within the same vicinity, and you're not even like 5 feet away from me. If you really wanted to fight me, you could fight me. But then,
right.
yeah, but then it also got me to understand people better because everything we do is just a reflection of ourselves and how we feel about ourselves internally. So I feel like with clients, when they're going through a tough situation or they're just telling me about what their financials are, their situations, their goals, anything in life, like, I can understand them and not judge them. And I feel like that's why a lot of my clients, they feel really comfortable telling me everything because
Mm,
I'm not here to judge you.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's so cool because you went through, and this is why it's so hard when someone's going through something. It's hard to tell them that you'll be able to use this hardship to, like, catapult your life into a trajectory you could never imagine if you had everything come easy. And it's hard when you're going through like shit in the moment and you're in it. It's hard to, take a seat back and say, oh, it's okay because this stuff I'm going through is going to help other people one day, or it's going to lead to me being a better connector, or you're not thinking that because you're going through it. So, but after going through things so many times and seeing on the other side of it, oh, it actually was beneficial in the end. I think over time you can actually be, I think that's what creates a lot of emotional maturity and stability, because even for me, like, I am not perfect by any means. I have days where I just want to stare at the ceiling and cry, and I have other days where things are going significantly worse and I just push through and nobody could tell, right? So we all have our seasons, we all have our ups and downs, of course. However, as an author and speaker, I really admire, and I saw him live many times, John C. Maxwell, and I heard him say something about emotional regulation and maturity, where he's like, when I have a good day, or I have a big win or something, or I have a big failure or a big thing that happens, I give myself, I forget the exact time, I give myself like 24 hours to celebrate or to mourn, and then I move on. And it's like, yeah, you don't want to be too high in the highs because that leads to very lows in the lows. So the more emotionally regulated you can be, high and low, the more you're able to, continue weathering the storms, which will allow you to continue to grow more and more and more. And I think that's why some people go through hard stuff early in life and they get so traumatized by hardship that they then seek comfort the rest of their lives. Whereas someone like yourself who went through a lot of distress and hardship, you seem like you're ready to run headfirst back into the fire because you realize and recognize that you need that refining process to continue to grow and get stronger. Am I making sense?
No, you're making 100% sense because I mean, you can't mess up my mood. I mean, I used to argue with random people on the streets when I was 14 to 16. But now, like, you cuss me, I don't care. Or if something goes wrong, I don't care because you just always have to be well, you don't always have to be positive, but if you just identify as someone that's resistant and you can go through anything no matter what life throws at you, you're always gonna win. Well, that's my mindset. I always say everything works out in my favor, and it usually does. You know, if I thought 10 years ago, I was like, oh my God, I'm in juvie. This sucks. And then I'm like, oh, wait, this taught me a lot. And it was actually a really good thing because when I was in there, I began to just have a time to think and just be, and understand myself. Because when you're in silence, that's all you can do. You can just think, you read, you write. So I think that 2 years of just silence really helped me
Yeah.
become more self-aware of what I wanted and who I was. And, initially you're like, why is this happening to me? Everybody's against me. And then after a couple times, you're like, okay, maybe I'm the problem. And then when you realize you're not the problem, but there's things that you could fix and you become self-aware of your own mistakes and your own flaws, and you can actually begin to correct it. But
Mm.
I mean, everybody has their heads up in the clouds. They don't even, I mean, but it's so easy to get distracted nowadays as well. So nobody thinks and sits with themselves and thinks, oh, well, maybe I should be fixing X, Y, and Z. They're just complaining about the external and not realizing, well, why is this external happening to me? I mean, the external is just a reflection of your internal. So if you're always going through hardships or life is always slapping you around, you're broke, you're complaining, you're saying the government's doing this, my boss is doing this, my friends are doing this. But when you sit down and you just think, okay, why is this happening to me, you realize, oh, it's because maybe I'm an asshole, maybe I'm impatient, maybe I just give up too easily, maybe, you start thinking. And then once you become self aware, then you can actually begin to take steps to fix it and become better.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Um, yeah, you can never help someone who always blames other people for their problems.
Hmm.
Their government, their parents, their friend. Well, my aunt, she did this thing when I was 7, and now that's that's why I am the way I am. Oh, okay. My aunt did some weird stuff too. Like, and what's crazy too is you start to realize, and I do not mean to downplay anybody's experience by saying this. It's very real to each individual person. But when you start to actually talk to people, you actually go out and understand what people have been through, you're like, damn, everyone's been through some wild shiznit. And you know what? Some people haven't yet, but they will if they live long enough. And at the end of the day, you realize, oh, hey, my struggles, my trials, my abuse, my trauma is not really unique, actually. And it almost, I don't want to say normalizes it it's not in a good way. But it's like, I don't know, it just helps you kind of realize, oh, everyone's struggling. Everyone has things they deal with. And how can I now use this to be more authentic, more relatable? How can
Hmm.
I adjust myself, like you were saying, so I can be more trustworthy? And I think trustworthiness also, like you said, everything stems from the internal. 100%, I agree with that. But so does trust. If I don't trust me, if I'm not an accountable
Hmm.
person, if I don't wake up when I say I'm going to wake up, if I don't do the things I say I'm going to do, then I don't trust myself. And I don't know how to explain this. It's like spiritual, but like you leak distrust. Because then you meet me and you're like,
Yes.
I don't know, I just don't get a good feeling about that guy. And it's like, but you can't even quantify it. You don't even know why. And it's just because it's like, yeah, your energy is just wrong.
It's your identity. It's true, but then it also, I think, unconsciously seeps into the other parts of your actions. Like for example, if you're not accountable, then and I meet you and we're friends and you're like, oh, I'm gonna hit the gym and I never see you hit the gym. And it just kind of shows me on a unconscious level, okay, like he doesn't do what he says, or like a person that doesn't follow through on what they say, they're probably always going to be late. They're probably always going to do things late. They're probably, it's just little details that you can tell about a person.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Well,
it
and that's
just,
why even posting online, I'm doing it a lot more now. I know you obviously post as well. There's a level of that that's scary because depending what kind of stuff you post, you now become accountable. If you want anyone to take you seriously in real estate and you stop posting for a period of time, people are going to be like, "Oh, but Fantine is that online real estate girl and she hasn't posted a sold listing for 6 months, so maybe she's not selling, so maybe I don't trust her." So you actually doing that publicly puts pressure on you, which I think is good, keeps you accountable and keeps you. Pressure is good. A little bit of pressure is good. And then me, even I have a few kind of inside jokes, I guess, with a few of my friends right now. Like the one guy, CJ, he'll literally he posts on his story. He's like, "Hey man, you work out today?" And he'll tag me in it. And I'm like, ugh. So now I have to like respond back to him on my story. But then I have, 200 people or whatever looking at my story that are seeing, oh, Josh did work out today. He did follow through. And if I want to build this persona of this connector, of this authentic entrepreneur guy, yeah, you're right. It's those little things. Well, Josh can't even stick to going on a walk. How is he going to actually do this deal, or how is he going to whatever, right? So it's
I
interesting.
hear you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the details. Like, okay, if Josh doesn't post, he's at the gym every day, or at least consistently. But also, people have this perception that if you don't post anything, then you're not doing it. And as an
Right.
entrepreneur, yeah, it's just we have to post because we need people to know that we're working and we're
Yeah.
consistent on what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So on this note, though, I want to know more about the inside, like behind the scenes. You went viral. You had how many, was it millions of views? How much did you get on those few posts?
1 million. I don't
Yeah. So
know.
and you jumped how many followers? It was like 10,000 or something, like in a very short period of time.
40. I'm okay. This is a new account because I don't have a personal account.
Hmm.
I've been using this for a while, and when I first started, I only had 500 followers. And it's crazy because I just saw, actually, you know how your iPhone gives you the memories from a year ago?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so from a year ago, let me
What's your
check.
thing, by the way? Is it at Fontine the Realtor?
Yes, at Fontine the Realtor.
Or I'll pop it up on the
Uh,
screen.
yeah, a year ago, I had 444 followers. You can't even see
Amazing.
it.
Oh, send me a screenshot. I'll throw it up on the video.
Okay. Which is crazy to me. I mean, it was consistently 400 to 500 followers because I wasn't consistent at first. And
Right. Sure.
then when I started investing into a marketing team, that's when I was able to be fully consistent because it was very difficult for me to work on clients, write offers, show house, like, and then post on social media. Also, I didn't know how to script, I didn't know how to plan it. So when I was posting on social media before, would just post like I would record one video each day. And then now you have all this backlog. Okay, now I have to edit this. All right,
Mm,
editing takes a couple hours. I'm like, all right, wait. This audio is not even trending anymore. So this video doesn't make any sense. And
right.
then yeah, you're just running around circles.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm experiencing this in real time myself because I do almost every single thing by myself. I'm going to edit this YouTube video by myself. I source the music. I
Yeah.
do just in the last month I have a few different kind of editors I've been testing out for some of my shorts, especially the ones related to the podcast. And now I have to maybe find a few other people for a few other things, and it's yeah, I can't do it all myself and be consistent and also do my job every day and do everything else and live my life. And it's yeah, you get to that point where if you want to get to the next level, you do have to bring on some help because it gets, even if it's just to do a few edits. I still post all my own stuff. Nobody posts for
Yeah.
me yet. I was just watching, Stephen Bartlett, the Diary of a CEO guy.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I was watching a video on him explaining starting the podcast. And it was so, here, I'll put it on the I'll put it on the screen.
Edit.
Super helpful. He was just explained the thought process, the team he hired, he had like 8 people. Well, I still does, I guess, maybe more now. But right out of the gate, 8 people. He invested like $40,000 in equipment and getting all the right stuff and getting a robot arm and getting the right cameras. And now he says in the video, and just I have not invested $40,000 in my first 5 episodes. I'm using my room, and I'm probably going to get a better mic soon. Like that'll be my first investment. But that being said, you know, I to get to the next level, like I know, for example, you know, Joe Rogan's not going to be a guest of mine while I do this podcast the way it is. So to get to the next level, it's going to take investing in the right teams, in the right knowledge, in the right equipment, right? And so you obviously understand that. You're doing it. You're still growing. Your engagement is great. I always look for engagement on posts. I've been in social media and social media marketing for years now. So it's very, very clear when you go to a big page that has like, let's call it 80,000 plus followers, and the first few pinned posts will always have likes shown and comments shown, and then the rest of the posts have likes hidden and 0 comments.
Yeah.
Fake. That is sketchy as hell.
It is.
Yeah, so I always look for engagement, comments, and then I look at the comments too. Are they always just one emoji per thing, or are people engaging? Do they want to know more? Are they giving their thoughts? And I think that's the sign of a good, healthy account, is like quality engagement and it depends on the audience too. Music artists typically have some of the best engagement because people are like diehard fans. So it does vary and depend based on industry, based on niche, but there are ways to spot the fakes. I've had many people reach out to me to try to offer to grow my account, and they have like 300,000 followers with 0 engagement.
So fake.
Yeah. So good for you, buddy, but I'm not going to pay you to fakeify my own account, right?
Right.
I'd rather, like, I have, with 1,000 followers or 1,100 or whatever, I have way more comments than a lot of these, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying it's because I'm slowly building it the right way, because I've done it the wrong way in the past. I had an account with like 18K at one point, and I deleted it. It's long gone. But I also did a bunch of wrong things back then. You know.
What you do?
I mean, like from bots to weird apps where you just have to play a game and then you get likes and followers, and to real automated growth, but like just every different tactic that you could use from like 2017 to 2020, like somewhere in there. That was kind of I was experimenting. And then my account, I think, was shadow banned and whatever, so I ended up deleting the whole thing. But anyways, point being, social media is hard. It takes a lot of consistency, and I respect you for doing it. So okay, yeah. So back to the point though. Now I'm tangenting on social media stuff. How has the virality affected your actual business? Did it skyrocket things? Did it it was okay for a month and then it went back to normal? Or what has that been like going viral?
Amazing. I mean, apart from real estate, it's given me a lot of opportunities aside from real estate. So I have gotten a couple of brand offers, gotten to know a lot of VC companies, family offices that reach out to me, and then we can do business together. Even if I'm not selling them a house or selling their house, I could still do business with you. We could be referral partners, and it just helps to have this toolbox of resources so that if your clients need anything, they know they can come to you because you have a person for it, no matter what. And it really does matter because any realtor can help you sell your house. But if I'm able to help you get funding, I'm help you able to start your business. I can help you do anything. Well, most things, not anything, most things. Then it kind of separates you from other realtors, right? Um, but I did get a couple of listings from Instagram already. I've got a lot of leads. I had to onboard two buyer agents. I'm still consistently getting a lot of messages. It's just now learning how to optimize my flow and my drip campaigns, or like a system, because right now I have everything on Google Forms, and I have my assistant reach out to everybody. But I mean, she's only working 8 to 6. Sometimes she works 8 to 7, and she still won't be able to get through all of my messages.
Nice.
And yeah, but also she's doing other things. So she can't just spend all day replying to people. So she has other tasks that are a higher priority. I get a bunch of questions about real estate. A lot of international people, buyers, sellers have also seen my page. I
Yeah.
have buyers or sellers from other states that reach out to me which is crazy to me, because instead of reaching out to their local realtor in like Texas or Nevada, Utah, they're reaching out to me, which is, so now I can refer them out, which is still, why leave money on the table? I mean, if I could refer, yeah, but it's crazy because you don't, like, I'm not even in your state. Um,
Yeah. I love that. It's, I always tell people use your advantages as an advantage. If you are well, like you, for example, right? You are young, you got a great personality, you speak well, you're very beautiful, you went viral. So use it. Now, don't abuse it, but use what you're given, right? Use what your mama gave you. And I always like, if you're really, you got really great hair, or you're really jacked, or you're really this, or you got a really nice deep voice. Like whatever you have that is an advantage, use that in some way. Make it part of your character, your personality, I think we all have these natural giftings, and some people just run away from theirs. And you need to develop and find what yours are. And again, I think there's a fine line between being manipulative and abusing those things. If you're a beautiful girl, you can abuse that to get things you want. So I think there's a line, right? And everyone, based on, I guess, their own morals, needs to toe it accordingly. But it sounds like you've done a good job of using your advantages and continuing to use them appropriately. So
Great. Yeah, but also I feel like being beautiful, it helps, but then there's also like, for example, when I first started into real estate, I had blonde hair and I looked like an ABG. And I thought, oh yeah, I'm pretty.
wait. What's ABG?
Okay, so for people that don't know what an ABG is, it's Asian baby girl. And that's usually the silver blonde hair, the tattoos out, and being dressed in kind of the baddie Instagram look, because nobody taught me how to dress professionally. I
Sure.
had no
Yeah.
idea. Okay, no, like nobody taught me. So that's how I would show up to the office. And then because of the industry I was in, people didn't take me seriously. So there's like, you need to learn how to use beauty to your advantage, not to your disadvantage, because you're gonna get weird guys. So I don't entertain any like BS. I just real estate, and if you want me to entertain your BS, I'm just gonna stop talking to you because it's just a waste of my time. But then you also need to deal with like people's husbands, wives that kind of look at you sideways because they're like, oh, she's gonna be our realtor. Yeah, so that's why when I meet people's wives, I don't even look at the husband. I just look at the wife. And I don't wear
Hmm.
makeup. I dress very professionally, very modest. I don't wear any makeup. I just stare at the wife. And then I talk to her as if she was the only decision maker. And that's been able to get me things done. But if you don't know how to use it, you're just gonna actually lose more business. Yeah.
I love that. That's a very good tip, because you're right. With every advantage, everything has its pros and cons, right? That's why the person who looks in the mirror and says, "Oh, I don't have this and this, so I can't be successful." Yeah, but the person who has that and that has their own challenges that you will never face. So stop making excuses. Get off your
Making
ass. Go do some hard work.
excuses.
Like,
Exactly.
everyone has their challenges. Period. So get over yourself, learn to be better, enhance your skills, invest in yourself,
hmm
and go take a walk or something. Go get some exercise. Make you feel better.
Go make some money. Stop making
Yeah, that too.
excuses. Because I hate when people think that I got to where I'm at just because I'm beautiful. I mean, I don't think I'm like a 10 out of 10, but I think I'm attractive. But it's also, I started from cold calling. They couldn't even see me. They had to
Yeah,
hear my voice. So people make a lot of excuses.
they do indeed. And speaking of excuses, I know we're coming up. Well, I know we had some technical difficulties, but I think we're coming up on about an hour now. I
Mhm.
want to give a little bit of time for a little fun segment that's a you exclusive here
Okay.
before we kind of wrap up. So you went viral primarily with this character that you made called Ling Ling. Now
Yep.
listen, for the first month of following you, before we actually started talking, I had no idea what you sounded like. I thought you were a fob. Like I didn't know that you, and that's fine. But the character was so over the top that I was like, I is she American? Is she? I couldn't tell. So yeah, I'll link your Instagram obviously in the description here. But if you want to do like a little, I don't know, objection handling, maybe back and forth as Ling Ling.
Yeah. I need my hat. I think one of my neighbors stole my hat, which was crazy because this is Burlingame.
I have
Like
one. I have one in the basement. Oh, I should have brought it up. I forgot. Like a
the
Vietnamese
yeah, the
straw hat.
Vietnamese.
Actually, side note, this right here is from Vietnam when I was there. It's snake wine. So
Oh wow.
I don't know if anybody can see that,
Is
but
that
there's a
Hennessy?
cobra. No, it's just called snake wine, but there's a cobra inside of there. You can't really see the cobra, and it's holding a scorpion in its mouth. And so when I went to Vietnam, they actually gave us um it was like this big jug of dead snakes all spiraled and coiled in there. And they just took a ladle and gave us a little shot in a shot glass. It's just this brown liquid, and I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let me try it."
Tricky.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's apparently it tasted kind of like whiskey actually. But
Was it good?
so no, but it was an experience. I also hate whiskey, but whatever. Side note. So yeah, we brought that back in my suitcase, my snake wine.
It's like, yeah,
Okay.
okay. And then he just passed out in Vietnam.
No, it was a little tiny shot. But I don't remember getting back to the ship. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Liver's gone.
Okay, so let's see. So I haven't worked in real estate per se, but I have worked in a SaaS company that was like selling real estate agents on the software that would help them in their local communities, whatever. So I've talked to a ton of realtors. I know roughly some of the stuff they go through, and they the way they sound. And by the way, most people should not be real estate agents. I was shocked at how trash a lot of these people were. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're in a people business and you're that mean or that arrogant or that rude or that, like, whoa. It actually made me realize if I want to become a real estate agent, I'm sure I'd be very successful.
Yeah, a lot of this suck.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, that's anything. I'm in sales and marketing, and a lot of salespeople suck and are weird and whatever. I don't claim the identity of the masses. I claim my own unique identity. So okay.
Mhm.
With that said, let's see. Let's say, I come in to see this open house, and I'm like, oh, this is a beautiful property, but a Ling Ling, I actually, I have another agent that I'm. They've been in the family for a while. I just feel bad if I used you instead of them. Why should I transfer over?
You want me to say about how many house your cousin sold last year? Huh?
Oh, I mean, they just do it part time, so I don't
They
know if they
do
really sold
part-time?
anything.
You trust part-time doctor? You trust part-time lawyer?
No. No. I understand, but it's my cousin. I'd feel bad.
Okay, next time I give you part-time doctor do your brain surgeon because you clearly need a new brain. Stupid as hell.
A new brain.
You trust part-time doctor, you can trust part-time cousin. Your part
Wow. Wow. Okay. Hey, you know what's funny? That was actually good though. That was as much as that was
yes.
ridiculous to witness. That was actually like good logic. I think that's why this character works, because you're actually using your legitimate brain and your sales brain, and then using this ridiculous character. Okay, hold on. Let me give you another one. Okay. Let's say I'm a contractor now, right? So you have a property. You need me to come in and fix up the walls, or do some drywall work before you're showing or before you try to put it on the market. So I'm like, oh, Ling Ling, this job is gonna, I don't know. I might have to bring in some other guys. It's gonna take longer than expected. I don't think we can meet the deadline for this showing that you have.
Sooner, what need to be done? Why you not tell me a week ago?
I mean, we just saw some stuff in the bathroom. There's some leaks. It's just gonna take a little bit more time.
Oh, Okay, you could have seen that 1 week ago. You know, see, I give you less because you know, see first. If
Give give me less. What do you mean? It's a bigger job. You should give me
no,
more.
no, 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 you see less. You see less first. That's on you, bro.
You see less first.
You see less first. You give me price. You go back on your word. I can go back on my word too.
I love it. You know what's funny? Sometimes using some kind of immigrant accent, you use less words to get to the point, and sometimes it's actually more effective because you said less things, but you were more clear, you know?
You know, no, but I hate when people are like, "Oh yeah, we have to check." Okay, okay, you tell me you need to fix the debt. Okay, how much the debt costs? Okay, they'll be like, "Okay, it costs like $10." Okay, I pay you $10 less because you know, see the first time you see $10 debt first time I show you, and then you just
Oh my gosh. You know what's
it's
funny?
true.
I'm realizing this as we're talking. For years, I've been on Zoom meetings for different things, and I had to learn how to like laugh quietly on camera because my parents were sleeping or it was late at night or I was muted, so what does it matter? So a lot of times now when I'm laughing on camera, I'm like laughing silently because I've trained myself to do that. That's I feel honored that I'm witnessing this in the flesh right now.
I love talking shit. I'm sorry. Okay, bleep it out. Bleep it out. But it's my favorite character, and that's like how I would actually say things. But I need to be professional, okay? So then I'm
That's
like,
the
ChatGPT.
unfiltered mind.
That's the unfiltered mind. Like, okay, your cousin part time, because you can't be like, oh, okay, so your cousin's part time. So would you trust a part time doctor? See, I feel like it doesn't really get to the point now. If I tell you, oh, your cousin part time, you trust part time doctor? Now you're like, I'm gonna trust a part-time
Yeah.
doctor.
It's the inflection too. It's the tone.
It's a tonality.
It's so good. Okay, one more. Okay, let's say I'm I'm a broker that you're working with, and maybe I'm going back on the price on you or on your percentage, and I'm like, oh, Ling Ling, I mean, I know we agreed on, we go 50-50 on this deal, but we've put too much of our resources towards it. We're gonna need to take a higher percentage on our end. Sorry.
You, mother. Okay, okay. I show you. Okay, okay. And then you go like, okay, this is all I do for you. It's my parking ticket. Okay, this is all I do for you. Okay, okay. You want to take how many percent off? Okay, you want to take off 1%, 2%. I cross out all the thing I do not do for you. Okay, you just close the deal. I okay. You give me 50%, but I don't do it. And then you give them the thing. You're like, okay, what you don't want me to do, I don't do for you.
Very good. That's you know what? If anyone on Broadway is watching this right now, I think we got something here. I think we got some magic.
No, but I learned that from one of my brokers. Because at first I was getting like when I first did my listing appointments, I didn't really have a lot of credibility. So people would ask me for a lower commission. So then I would show them. Well, now I don't get asked lower commission. If you ask me for a lower commission, I'm just gonna say no. I'm not even gonna do the whole pitch. I don't even care. But I used to. Okay, so I would just go down and be like, okay, so you see the list? Okay, I do, and then it's like a million things. Okay, which one you want me no do? I don't do for you. And then say, okay, okay, and then you make them cross it. Okay, so you know marketing. Okay, that's fine. No marketing for you. Okay, okay. I could charge you less, no money for you just make them. Okay, so you like marketing? Okay, okay. You want fast response? Oh, okay. You want paperwork done correctly? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So I get full commission, and then you just so
Have you ever actually like done a deal or like had a real interaction where you're like, just screw it, I'm gonna do the accent the whole time?
no. I should. I mean, it would be so funny, but then it's like.
But like maybe like you tone it down just a little bit in the regular conversation so they actually think like, no, I'm pretty sure she's like straight off the boat. Like she's
She actually said, "Don't worry, honey. I good negotiator. I come on the ship for free. You should charge me $50."
Okay, I need to run something by you here, especially while we're still in this energy here, this Ling Ling energy. I have a theory, and no one has ever disagreed with me because I'm pretty sure I'm spot on. If I go to, so you're Chinese, right? Your background?
I'm Chinese.
Yeah. So if I go to a Chinese restaurant for takeout, specifically for takeout, um, if there's more than like 4 seats there, that's already a red flag. I want the menu to be like relatively old. I want it to
Dirty.
be hardly legible, and there needs to be like A1, A6, Anyways, that's not as important as these next ones. I want the person to be as rude as possible. No hello, no thank you, no please. What you want? What you like? I want just quick, and I want to see a kid doing homework somewhere.
Yep.
Whether he's the fry cook or he's behind the bar or whatever. I want to see a child doing homework, and I want a rude woman at the front just saying, "What you like?" And then she yells in the back my order. And like I said, there's maybe 3 seats there, no more than 3-4 seats. Mm-hmm. That's when I know I'm gonna get some really freaking good food.
Mm-hmm. It could be very good for you, very cheap, or cash only. ATM across the store.
Cash only.
Yeah. That's how you know the food's good. Actually, one of my favorite Chinese spots, there's just this kid that's just always there, and he always tries to run out the store with his like toy car, and then you just see like the uncle, I don't know, dad, I don't know, he's like, they found I found her, yeah, and he's just like, come, he's like the same Chinese, like, come back, you kid, he's like, come back, and then you see this little kid, he's like looking back, he's like, I'm gonna be here, bro. He keeps trying to run out, and then that place hits, and they have $9.99 lunch special.
Yeah.
Dude.
And it's probably printed on like the oldest. It's on like papyrus. It's on super old paper.
Dude, that shit's not even like together. Like they got some tape on it that they.
Yeah, if I walk into an Asian spot, now it's different if you go for sushi. I'm not talking about sushi. I'm talking about Chinese takeout. But if I walk in and there's a guy named Jamal and he's like, "Hey man, how are you doing today? What would you like to order?" I'm walking right out of there. I'm like, "Sorry, bro, wrong spot." Like, just like I'm Greek. I don't want to see a Pakistani guy. I don't want to see a Chinese person make my Greek food. If they're Arab or they're Mediterranean, good, lovely. But if I see someone else other than that making my Greek food, it's not Greek food. And so if I would say I am racist, don't clip that. I'm racist with my food. I'm only racist with my food. That's the thumbnail. Yeah. That should be the intro for the video.
I'm racist, and then we do like a cutout to like me yelling in Chinese.
Oh my gosh, that'd be such a good intro for the because I do these like little clips now for the like a hook in the intro. I'll just be I'm racist, and then you be like, "What the?"
You Chinese.
Oh my goodness. But like think about it. If you want to go get some Jamaican food, you don't want to see me back there. Hey, my brother. No. You don't want to see that.
Leave it. I want to see a Jamaican.
Yeah. I want to see a Rasta hat. I want to see a Bob Marley flag. I want the whole stereotype. That's when I know I'm happy.
I want to smell some weed in the back.
And some of it falls into the patty. Yeah.
It's okay. Like he shakes your hand after, and then like your hand's a little sticky and you smell it. I'm like, all right, okay. All right.
That's why I just find it so funny. Like people get so uptight and offended about everything all the time. And I'm like, shut up. You feel the same. If a certain person, was making your food, or if you like, when I go to a Japanese place, I go to a sushi spot and I see like Japanese dudes with their outfit on and they're rolling the sushi. Like I'm happy. I'm like, I love this because I love the culture. I love the experience. I don't want that to be watered down. I want to appreciate cultures individually sometimes because the US and Canada are such melting pots or whatever you want to call it. So it's nice when I've traveled the world. When I went to Hong Kong, I don't want to see a bunch of Greek dudes dancing on the street. I want to see Chinese people. When I went to Vietnam, I want to meet Vietnamese people. When I, and I've been all over Europe. I've been a few places in Asia. So it's it's exciting to see cultures actually be represented in their appropriate places. You know, it's a beautiful thing.
I mean, yes, but it's just crazy to me because it's never like you won't see a Chinese person get offended by my Chinese accent. It's usually a white person.
Yeah, it's a white liberal lady. That's what it is
It's a
usually.
white liberal lady, or sometimes I've had like black people get offended, but or Mexican people get offended, but it's mostly white liberals.
Interesting.
But yeah, which is crazy to me because it's like you're telling me to be offended for me making fun of my own culture. Like,
Yeah,
like I
I know.
should be the one offended.
There was a video of this guy. Shoot, what was his name? Will Witt, I think. He
Hmm.
was like a conservative podcaster. I watched this a few years ago. I think it was before COVID, and he was saying like, oh no, he would dress up in cultural attire, like stereotype. Like he had a kimono on with like a whole Japanese outfit, and then he went to like this Japanese area, and all the Japanese people were like, oh, like they loved it. They were like, oh, very nice, you know.
Yeah.
But then it was all these like
Konnichiwa.
white ladies. Is all these other people that were like, that's so insensitive, that's so racist, and it's like, hey, people, you know, the highest form of adoration or what's the word? The highest form of admiration is uh what's that called? Uh not
Like when you're copying somebody, mimicking.
yeah. Yeah, essentially. I'm screwing up the phraseology, but it's, you know, it's okay to also joke about things. Like stereotypes are there for a reason. Like if you stereotype Italian people or Greeks or Chinese people, a lot of it's true. That's why it's funny. That's why it's a stereotype. So if we can't laugh at ourselves, if we can't have fun with it, like, I mean, what's the point?
So offended. I think honestly, they want us to be offended. They want us to be offended because if we were all like, all right, back then, I don't know, like, all right, my parents are very old school. A lot of my friends are a lot older than I am, and they can make fun of this shit 24/7 because that's just how it was. Like before, if you watch movies growing up, people were making racist jokes all the time. Nobody cared. Yeah,
I
but
know. Yeah.
now, yeah, but then it kind of brought us all together because, like, I can laugh at you, you can laugh at me, nobody gets their feelings hurt. But now you have all these white people and all these Asian people, all these different races that feel like they should be offended for other people's races, and then instead of collaborating, they're just getting offended at each other.
Yeah. You ever watch Russell Peters, the comedian?
I have not.
So he's Canadian actually. He was born near me, and I grew up watching his comedy, and his stuff is all about racial stuff. He's an Indian guy, but he speaks like a normal American Canadian, but he does such good accents, especially the Indian accent. So his whole persona was the like, not racist, but the racial comedy guy. And so it's funny because then I went into high school, like all my jokes were like about other cultures, and I got a slap in the face pretty hard. Not actually, but I got like the reality check of like, oh, you can't be like making these jokes as a white kid. And I was like, oh, I thought I could do that. I thought it was just funny. I thought everyone thought it was funny, but apparently
Okay,
not.
I don't know. I think it's funny, but also I grew up watching South Park and Family Guy when it was actually offensive, not before Disney bought that shit out.
Did you know that China and Japan are actually a different countries? Oh, really?
Because right now, okay, Family Guy is just whack, bro. Like, come on now. Like,
Yeah,
it's not even funny anymore. Like, they used to make fun of like, like everything. Like, they would make fun of black people. They would make fun of 9/11. They would make fun of Muslims. They would make fun of Chinese people. They like everybody was getting made fun of, and I thought it was hilarious, and I still think it's hilarious. But then it also shows you, like, all right, which I've noticed a lot of successful people, they have the same type of humor as like they don't get offended easily, but also
of course.
if you're offended easily, you're just never gonna make it because you're gonna go through so much bullshit in your business that if you're easily triggered, you don't have the
Yeah.
skin for it.
Well, you give away your power, right? It's like if you offend me, that's a metric of me allowing you, like I'm allowing
Control.
the sounds that come out of your face to make me feel a certain way. And so
Hmm.
like sometimes I think about it that basically you're vibrating out of your face and I feel bad because of it. Why?
Exactly. Like that just means you're easily triggered, or you don't have control over your own emotions. And frankly, you probably have too much time in your day. Like, all right, if you were successful and you were running like right like you know, you have a bunch of meetings, you have a bunch of sales calls, you have to film content, you have to edit it. Even if somebody offended you online, you don't have time to. This video was offensive, da, 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 and then to play like keyboard warrior with somebody all day. You got
Yeah.
better things to do.
Yeah. I even had a few threads that popped off like a few weeks ago, like on the app Threads, the Meta's version of X. And like the few of them had like 800 comments on them. And I'm like, bro, I don't like people were arguing, going back and forth. And after a while I was like, holy crap, I'll let them argue it themselves. I can't be in this anymore. Because you want to engage with your comments, right? You want to engage, and that's how you build more engagement and people trust you, all that kind of stuff. But after 500 comments, I'm like, okay, I think I got to tap out here. So
Oh, I get it.
yeah,
I don't even
never,
engage. Like, I
yeah,
can't.
it's well, especially now because you're growing and you have so much going on. So you have it gets to that point, right? It gets to that point where you have to make the decision, like how much do I actively engage and how much do I pull back. But anyways, to kind of wrap, I mean, I love talking to you always, and we got to do this again sometime when we both have some professional equipment, I guess. But this was great. But let's wrap up with what are you doing now that you want people to know about? Where can people find you? And maybe one final message from Ling Ling to close it out.
Okay, well, working mostly investments. I'm gonna launch a product soon, so stay tuned. I'm gonna launch a fitness product. So just because a lot of people ask me what type of supplements I take, and when I post photos in the gym, especially a lot of women, I have because I'm Asian, right? So
What?
I'm Asian, right? Like I know it's crazy, but like we're stereotypically pretty slim, and I was 90 pounds before. So I gained
Wow.
like 20 pounds in the gym. A lot of people, a lot of women, they're like, "What supplements do you take? How'd you achieve that physique?
Sure.
What do you do?" So I was like, "All right, I might as well start my own fitness line." So that's what I'm gonna do. I mostly specialize in investment. That's what I like to do. So I've just been focusing on investments and working with other business owners. Let's see. I have a coaching program, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's for everyone because I'm very blunt. And I'll tell you exactly where, and I'm very straight to the point. Like the consulting, the call is only 30 minutes because I don't want to bullshit. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. And if you can't handle it, I wouldn't recommend signing up because sometimes with these calls, I'll just be like, okay, what are you doing for your business? They're like, nothing. Okay, so how are you expecting to get more business? It's like, I don't know. Okay, let me see your calendar. Jack shit on the calendar. Okay, so you don't, they're like, I have a marketing issue. Like, no, you have a lead issue because you're not working. Like, and I'll tell you straight up. And if you can't handle that, don't sign up because I've had a couple people get offended, but some people love it. And then some people are like, oh, you're really discouraging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this specifically only in real estate you're currently doing that?
I'm doing coaching for real estate. But I would say it's more sales, mindset, and real estate because it just all goes hand in hand. Let's
Sure.
see. Just,
And where can people reach out to you if they actually want to pursue that or they want to contact you somehow?
it's Fontine the Realtor, Fontine, the Realtor. Uh, there's a number there. There's a Google form. You can fill it out. You can book a time to call. And for coaching, don't apply if you can't handle honesty, because that's a disclaimer. Because I already got one person that was butthurt, and I don't care because you asked me to make you better.
You definitely have a style. You definitely have a style.
That's the truth. I don't want to like if you want someone to hold your hand and talk to you nicely, okay, you can hire somebody else. But I'm gonna tell you the truth, and I'm gonna get you to where you want to be as fast as possible. And if you're not ready for that, then don't call me. It's just I like I don't have time to. hold your hand, speak to you nicely about things when you're asking me for my brutal honesty of how you can improve.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love it. And I think anybody that would participate, I'm sure will get a lot of value. And despite being young, you have a lot of wisdom and you have a lot of experience. And it's cool to see someone so fired up, ambitious, hardworking.
Ready.
You're definitely a busy ass person, that's for sure. And not just busy, but productive. Big difference there. Some people are busy doing dumb stuff. So
Efficient, yeah.
if you wanna maybe tell us what kind of bubble tea you got with your Ling Ling, and maybe a final word of encouragement.
I got coffee
Oh, it's
cream.
coffee.
Yeah, cream coffee for you. Um,
I thought you had
um,
some brown sugar pearl milk tea.
kind of looks like it, right? I know they ran out of boba.
That's too bad. So what would you say, final word maybe to young, let's even say to young women who are, whether they've gone through things or not, what would you say to, if I was a 16-year-old girl, been through some stuff, I want to improve my life, I want to be successful, and I admire you, what would you tell me?
In a regular voice or in an accent?
Yeah, you could do it regular.
I would say to just sit in solitude for a while, figure out who you are, where you want to go, and then just shift your identity to whoever you choose to be. And you can always change this because I wanted to be a business owner. And in some ways, I am a business owner, but I didn't know I wanted to do real estate. But you need to pick something and you need to shift your identity to that. You being young isn't an excuse for mediocrity. It's not an excuse for you to hang out with people that are bad influences because you think that's who you're supposed to be hanging out with your age. You being young is the best gift you'll ever have because if you start now, you're going to be ahead of everyone else. And I mean, me being 21, I work with 40, 50-year-olds, and I mean, I love them. They're amazing, but they always tell me consistently, like, hey, I wish I was doing what you were doing at your age. But they weren't because also who you hang out with is who you're going to be. So if you're hanging out with other 16-year-olds or 21-year-olds that are just clubbing every day, that are partying, then, don't drink poison if you're thirsty. Don't choose to go out. Don't drink poison. That's the best advice. Don't drink poison even if you're thirsty. Stay with yourself. Focus on yourself. Be completely locked in. Have no distractions. It's going to be really difficult, especially if you're a pretty young woman, because you're going to get a lot of guys that just want to take you out and want to waste your time. You just say no. It's like the best thing you can do is just to say no in life, and then the right opportunities will come where you can say yes. Oh, also, don't say yes to everything. Because when you say yes to something, that means you're aligning yourself with that opportunity. So, like, let's say, for example, your standard now is I'm not going to say yes to anything that's under $1 million. And then you end up saying yes to something that's 1 million under $1 million, and you're just gonna keep getting that same opportunity as if. But if you raised your standards and you said, "I'm not saying it," and you stood on it, then the opportunities will show itself to you because it's like you're shifting your idea, like you're kind of you're emptying your water to fill more water, if that makes
Mm.
sense. But you need to
Dropping some knowledge at the end here. I love it.
Knowledge.
yeah, but it's true. Also, it's really easy to change um your identity. People make it seem so hard, but everything is just a mindset. So as long as you think everything is easy in life, it'll always be easy. So before, I would always wake up late and I would never go to the gym. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna say I am consistent waking up. I'm consistent going to the gym. I'm gonna stop complaining about not going to the gym and not waking up early. And then like that, I just changed it because it's all a mindset. If you just like, and I'll show you. So every morning I read this to myself, and it's a lot, but this is like who I identify as. And I'll read this before I go to sleep and when I wake up, and I'll just become it because your words are powerful and you can speak anything you want into existence as long as you identify as that. As like, all right, I want to identify as a successful entrepreneur. Okay, so what is a successful entrepreneur? Okay, I would be X, Y, Z. I am this. I am this. I am that. I'm that. Okay, now become it. You shift, and then people make it seem like it's so hard. You could literally wake up and just decide to wake up early. You can decide to go to the gym. You could decide to be on time. You could decide to be early, which is even better. You could decide to be prepared.
Yeah.
But and it's really easy. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the best
Wow.
thing.
I love that so much. You are, I would say, very wise beyond your years. I respect you a lot. Very few people like legitimately make me laugh. I'm usually the joker. I'm usually the witty one that has the jokes and stuff. Not that I don't think I'm the funniest guy in the world, but I'm usually the joker. I don't really have many friends that legitimately make me laugh, and you do. So thank you for that. I very much enjoy talking to you every time we do. Thank you for being on the podcast. My new thing I'm doing here. Excited to grow together and see you go viral again. You can pass on some of that stardust to me too. I would love to go viral.
Let's go. Just be racist. Just,
I'm clipping that.
just be racist. I'm just
Maybe
imagining
that's
your
it.
friends. Your
You know what
friends
is
are
funny
like,
though?
what?
The most, my TikTok has no one. I got like 100 people on TikTok right now. But I have a video with 30,000 views or 33 or whatever it is now, and it's literally me reacting to like, I think it's a dude getting off a bike and he's got like a metal pole going up his butt. Like it's the stupidest thing, unrelated to everything I do, but that has the most views. And I'm like, of course it does. Of course it does. Oh man,
No, have you
that's
seen
it. That's social media genius right there. Okay, I'm gonna close the podcast and then we can keep talking. Okay, bye guys.
Okay, bye.